Hello all. Here in California, San Francisco, we're seeing food shortages. More and more. Hard to get food. Not all food, but some. People are beginning to get worried about the whole situation. Here in San Francisco, we're holding at about 307 infection rates. Our increase is slow. It's not very fast. People are staying inside and keeping the distance thing. That's good news for San Francisco. The rest of the country, it's exploding. It's exploding because people in government are not requiring social distancing. Still, Florida really blew it. It looks like Florida infected pretty much most of the country from their spring break disaster. So, we're not going to talk about that at this time. We're going to talk more about this food shortages that the UN is now warning about. Let's go over to the board. The pink has been talking about food shortages for how long now? The UN warns of a global food shortage. The UN is saying governments will restrict the flow of food. This person here, the UN Agriculture Organization head, said, shortages of field workers brought on by protectionism. So when Trump wouldn't bring on field workers to harvest the fields, the U.S. became food negative. We had to throw a bunch of it away because the white man isn't about to go out and pick fruit and vegetables. And we weren't going to bring in anybody to help pick the produce. So now we're going to pay the price. Tariffs and export bans will lead to problems. In other words, the U.S. will not be able to get food because of all the protectionism that they've put on themselves over everybody else. And so now everybody else is going to do the same to the U.S. right when we need food. Good going, Orange Man. Boy, you're right on the ball. 10 all the way, huh? So the big thing is, when will this happen? When is it predicted to happen? Maximo, in the coming weeks. All measures against free trade will be counterproductive, he says. Now is the time to protect the flow of food. Some countries have begun to protect their food by restricting exports. Another problem for the U.S. since we get so much of our food now from China and other countries. Trade barriers will create extreme volatility in food. In U.S. grocery stores, they are racing to stock up on produce. Those that remember a video not too long ago about this very subject, and I said, you know, it's going to be down to who pays for what. Because a capitalist system, it's going to work just like it is for the mask and protective gear here in the U.S. It's a dog-eat-dog world. What a dumb saying, but I don't know what else to say. Capitalism may even cause a major reduction in the population of humans and great apes and monkeys throughout the world. This pandemic is so bad, it's 3 times more infectious than the flu. And that's what makes this thing so bad. But let's go get some more information on the food shortages, shall we? The U.S. farm workers have a 40-minute drive on average to the crops that they're harvesting. They are driven in either cars or overcrowded vans. There is no regard for social distancing at all in most of the growers. If workers get an illness, it would jeopardize crop yields and disrupt the food supply. The United Farm Workers separate their workers by 6 feet or 1.8288 meters. Most growers are not communicating with their workers. You know, I'm not kidding when I say we have inept, idiot people at the top, the middle, and even at the governorships. We really put in some stupid people here in the U.S. Now, people in the U.S. have never starved like the people of North Korea. But if we don't get our act together and get this orange idiot out of office and all of his crony mob people out of our government, we're doomed, people. We really are. And we're doomed in the most horrible of ways. Lack of food, lack of medicine, lack of hospitals, lack of clean water because of the removal of the EPA here in the U.S., where the companies that are working can just freely dump whatever they want into any place, anywhere, and there'll be no consequences. It's mind-boggling what's happening to our planet and the human population. But as I've said, if we don't fix it, nature will. And let me show you another thing that's happening. With the sea ice extent, a major crash. We're really heading into into troubled waters, aren't we? So, the sea ice extent is crashing. Our food production is growing ever so terrible. The climate has changed, has gone through some kind of change, and now when California is supposed to be getting into their summer, we're now into winter all of a sudden. How did that happen? I don't understand. The perfect storm. We're living through it right now. It's going to take every human to actually turn on their intelligence to get through this. I would suggest that the alternative media, myself and others, start asking how things are, and let's follow along with this tragedy on the planet Earth. And another thing, I would really urge everybody to vote for Bernie Sanders, because if you do not, and you put Biden in or the Orange Man in to solve this problem, I'll just tell you right now, you're all completely, if that happens. If the Orange Man stays in, or if you put Biden in, you need extraordinary intelligence at this time. And let me tell you, these two men, they're not it. They're just not it. Bernie Sanders is it. Bernie Sanders could get us through this. Not the Orange Man, and not Biden. Or Hillary. Hillary might. She actually does have somewhat of a brain, but Bernie Sanders, 2020, don't let the election get run over by the bus. Oh.